Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this young lady back. It's Karoline Leavitt. She, of course, the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump's reelection campaign. Karoline, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
You are great. I agree with you. So, listen, I'm not going to shut your mic off. I'm not going to shut the camera. We have to get that out of the way, can't we? So you're invited on CNN, the network that's going to have the debate, and you take the opportunity to call them on something their lead anchor, the lead host guy, Jake Tapper, has been saying about President Trump on that air. It's not like he said it, drunk at a bar one day. He said it on their air over and over and over again. Read Mein Kampf. Donald Trump is quoting out of Adolf Hitler's book. So when you wanted to just confront I don't even think you were confrontational. When you just wanted to say, hey, Jake Tapper's been saying this stuff, you were shut down. What were you thinking in that moment when that happened?
Well, I was utterly shocked that I was cut off and thrown off of the program. To your point, all I was trying to do was relay statements that Jake Tapper has made in the past about President Trump. He has a long history of anti-Trump lies, and it's relevant to discuss that because he's moderating this debate on Thursday.
Yes.
And they didn't let me repeat the very statements that Jake Tapper himself has made on the air.
Well, don't worry about it because I showed it here on my show, and then we played the audio for the radio audience. We've put it out everywhere, and you are 100% right. And again, as I say, it would be bad if he said it to his friend in private. This is on the air, being very stern-faced, and he is reading the words right out of Adolf Hitler. When you knew that the debate was going to happen, and I think many people weren't sure there was going to be a debate, so Biden agreeing to one, even by accident on Howard Stern, that was a good thing. But when you heard that it was going to be Jake Tapper, a guy that you know is one-sided and biased against Trump, was there any trepidation in the camp to maybe not do it?
No, because President Trump made a commitment that he would debate Joe Biden anytime, anywhere, any place. And we are delivering on that commitment. He's delivering on that commitment by stepping into the lion's den on CNN. And this debate wouldn't be happening if not for President Trump keeping his foot on the gas and continuously calling Joe Biden to a debate. If you recall, there was conversation about Biden not debating at all. That's what
Right.
his team wanted because they know how high stakes this is for Joe Biden. So President Trump challenged Joe Biden. He accepted. We accepted the terms, and we're fine with it because we know how strong President Trump is, how strong his first-term record is, and how great his message is to make this country great again for another 4 years.
Karoline Leavitt, the National Press Secretary for Donald Trump, DonaldJTrump.com. You're so right. This is going to be an expose of what happened just 4 years ago. People act like the Trump era was 100 years ago. It just happened. And we could go back and look at all the tape, look at all the numbers, see how secure the border was, how good the economy was, all the stuff that he did well for every American, no matter your race, your religion, your gender, none of it. And they're trying to pretend like he's never going to leave office should he win again, that he wants to be a dictator and a fascist and all these things. Why do you think they're using that tactic? It can't be effective, can it? We can go back 4 years and see what Trump did.
It's not effective. They've spent nearly or more than $100 million over the
Wow.
last several months pushing this very message that President Trump is an alleged threat to democracy. It's a whole bunch of crap. Americans know it. Joe Biden has no answers for how he's going to bring down the cost of living. He has not secured our southern border. He's opened it to a mass invasion of millions of illegal people from all over this world. Joe Biden has no change in his foreign policy strategy that has led to war in Ukraine, war in the Middle East. And so that's the real test for Joe Biden on Thursday night. It's not whether he can stand up there for 90 minutes. He should be able to do that. He's the leader of the free world. The test is, how does he defend his indefensible policies? And I think that's what millions of Americans will be watching at home will be looking for. How are you going to bring down the cost of rent, groceries, gas? How are you going to secure the border? How are you going to bring down crime in my community? President Trump has answers and real plans to address all of those problems. Joe Biden doesn't. And we'll have to see. I mean, he's been hiding away at Camp David for the last week. His advisors are clearly drilling a bunch of talking points into his skull. He has to be told what to say. President Trump doesn't, because he has a real plan and a real record to run on.
Well, that's the thing. President Trump walks out and says, here's why I love the country. Here's what we did the first time. We'll do it even better the second time. And he can just go on the fly. I know he gets annoyed by the teleprompters and just goes off of them and just starts talking to the crowd. Biden can't do that. When he goes off the teleprompter, he freezes. He stops. He tells a story that's not true. He misremembers something. He started the civil rights movement, for God's sakes, in the country, which of course he didn't. He got arrested with Nelson Mandela or something. So that's the stark difference. It's not going to be scripted. on Thursday night. But if I'm hearing you right, they're drilling into his head what he's got to say and how he's got to say it. Would it behoove President Trump to maybe try to make him mad? And I don't mean like, punch the guy, but go at him and go at his record and don't back down, because if Joe Biden is off script, he's in big trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe Biden's definitely in big trouble when he goes off script. He can hardly even read off a teleprompter, for
Right.
goodness sakes. But we do expect him to be in prime shape on Thursday night. Look, his team knows how much is at stake. Again, that's why they've been hiding him away at Camp David for 7 days, which is deeply concerning. The fact that the leader of the free world cannot debate prep and also engage in other public events. I mean, we have a lot of crises going on in this country right now, a lot of problems. He should still be leading the country and debate prepping, but he clearly is incapable of doing that.
Right.
But he's there because his team knows how important and high stakes this is for him. And so while he has to be told what to say, again, President Trump knows what to say. We have a great strategy going into the debate that I won't reveal here, but it's going to be a great night, and we expect, as long as President Trump is given a fair shake to speak and to talk about the policies and to contrast his strength with Joe Biden's weakness, well, then it's going to be a great night for us.
Come on, Karoline, give us the strategy. I'm not going to tell anybody. Okay.
All
right. We'll wait for Thursday. Go and follow her on X, KLEAVITTNH, and she's the National Press Secretary for President Trump. You know that Biden's going to go in, and again, I don't want specific strategy. Of course not. But going in, the DOJ has helped Biden as much as they can. The DA in Manhattan has helped him as much as he can. Merchan has helped him as much as he can. Gag orders, you're a convicted felon. That's going to be Biden's line. He can't argue with President Trump on policy, because President Trump's policy for all Americans was exponentially better than anything Joe Biden's ever dreamed of. So that's going to be the attack. I feel like the attack will be nonstop. Well, convicted felon, convicted felon, convicted felon, you're a threat to democracy. Does President Trump have to even respond to that? Or should he just stay on message? Here's what I did. Here's what I'm going to do.
Again, we know that the threat to democracy argument from the Biden campaign has not worked, because they've spent more than $100 million in advertising on it, and it hasn't moved the needle. Joe Biden has continued to decline in the polls. President Trump's winning in every battleground state. He's winning a large margin of the Black vote. He's winning independents. He's winning Hispanic Americans, and it's because Americans care about policy. They care about how that policy is impacting their lives. But if Joe Biden really wants to go there, all President Trump has to do, and he does this all the time on the campaign trail, and our team does it as well, is point to the real threat to democracy in this race, and that real threat to democracy is Joe Biden. The hallmark of a dictatorship is waging the courts and weaponizing the justice system against your political opponent, trying to imprison your opponent. And that's exactly what Joe Biden has done over the last year, using far-left Democrat prosecutors from New York to Fulton County, Georgia to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Joe Biden also has censored and silenced journalists who don't agree with his regime, which kind of what happened to me yesterday on CNN.
Yeah.
That's not a democracy. Is censoring and silencing people is not democratic at all. And Joe Biden has also imprisoned pro-lifers. There's a plethora of examples we could point to. And the greatest threat to democracy is the fact that we are barreling towards a World War III. Russia and North Korea had a high stakes meeting last week, signing an allegiance to one another. That didn't get nearly enough coverage in the mainstream media. But it's because they know Joe Biden is weak, and they're taking advantage of our country every day. And a nuclear war is the greatest threat to democracy that we face. And that's a real likelihood in Joe Biden's America.
And not even to mention the nuclear sub that was just off the coast of Florida in Cuba, for God's sakes.
Right.
And when you ask this administration about it, the answer from people like Kirby over at the communications center is, no big deal. We don't know where they're going. We didn't check with the Russian naval. But they do that every few years. Don't worry about it. Which of course is not true. They were afraid because President Trump showed a strong America. They're not afraid now. And to your point about Biden has been seen in like a week. And we're not going to see him until Thursday night. And when we do see him, he'll be, my opinion, jacked up on something so he can make it through the debate. So we've got a weakness that I think President Trump clearly is exploiting when he goes to these rallies. Let me ask you this. And this really bothers me, but the president's been doing very, very well rising above it. Big academia, big media, as you just mentioned, big music, big sports, big Hollywood. They're all against President Trump, all of them. He's fighting all of them and most of big tech as well, yet he's still leading in most polls. Does he have to worry about taking on 8 different entities, or is he laser focused on Joe Biden and the bad policies of the past 4 years?
You have to focus on both. I mean, we are up against every institution in this country. We know that very well. Crooked Joe Biden has the media in his pocket. He has the DOJ in his pocket. He has, again, far left prosecutors across this country working at his behest to imprison President Trump. Our legal team is continuing to fight those battles every single day. Arguably, the only real institution we have left is the Supreme Court, which that's why the Democrats hate it so much and are
Right.
pledging to pack it if they have another 4 years in office. So President Trump knows what he's up against. He doesn't have to be doing this. He had a very good life before entering the political arena. He could have gone home in 2020 and golfed and enjoyed his multi-billion-dollar business that he has worked so hard to create. But instead, he's stepping back into the fight with every institution against him because he loves this country and he loves the people of this country. And he only answers to the people. He doesn't answer to the war machine like so many politicians in Washington do. He doesn't answer to big donors. No, he answers to the millions and millions of people that support him across this great country. And that's why he's building the greatest political movement this nation has ever seen.
It's kind of amazing. As you know, I've interviewed him 14 times. We look forward to interviewing him again soon. I even interviewed him at the White House, one of like 5 talk show hosts that were invited. And the first interview I ever did with him, I asked him that question: why are you doing this, man? You're the apprentice guy. You're the multi-billion-dollar development guy in New York. You've been known for 40 years, and you don't need any of this. And by the way, he's one of the only presidents in history that lost wealth just by being the president for 4 years. And his answer was very simple. It's what you just said. I love the country. I can't stand watching what's happening to the country. Karoline, were you surprised at all that he was going to run again in 24? And just asking you for your personal opinion, because I thought that he could still be a really big player, but go and enjoy his life, like you said. Or do you know that his drive and love for the country is such that he was definitely not going to sit it out?
I was not surprised at all. This is President Trump. He fights hard. He gets punched. He punches back 10 times harder. And so here we are in 2024 already. And everything President Trump warned the American public about in 2020 on that debate stage with Joe Biden 4 years ago has come true. He warned us about the open border that would create an invasion. He warned us about Joe Biden's need to shut down our energy supply to appease radical far left environmentalists in this country that would hike up the cost of living, which has absolutely happened. He warned the American public that Biden has been wrong on every foreign policy decision he's ever made, and his weakness would lead us into war. That's exactly what has happened as well. So now the difference is Americans see President Trump was right about it all, and they've lived a contrast. It's a very unique election because we have a former president and of course an incumbent president all within the span of just a few years. So people can really think about, were their lives better now or are they better then? The answer is then. No doubt, under President Trump, the lives of all Americans were better. And that's why President Trump has a strong message to bring to the debate stage on Thursday and why he's going to win this election in November.
And by the way, he was absolutely right about Hunter Biden's laptop, too. The 51 lying intelligence people should all be facing charges. It's Karoline Leavitt. Let me circle back before I let you go to the CNN thing. After that gets done, because I've been on network television for a long time, I've never cut somebody off if they disagreed with me or wanted to say something that I wasn't happy with. So that was very, very strange. She clearly didn't expect you to be as strong as you are. Clearly didn't expect you, because she said she just wanted you to talk about Trump, which is what you were doing. You were talking about that network's treatment of Trump and Jake Tapper specifically. After that ends, does the producer contact you? Does the host contact you? Do they apologize? What goes on afterwards?
Absolutely not. No apology in sight. In fact, they have doubled down on their defense of Casey Hunt and of Jake Tapper. CNN put out a statement saying that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are 2 veteran, unbiased journalists who are going to do a great job on Thursday, even though the whole world can see it. And again, by their censoring me, it proves our point that President Trump is knowingly going into a hostile environment on Thursday, but he's doing it because he delivers on his promises, and it's going to be a great night. Everyone should tune in.
We have the video of him saying it, though. Karoline, I apologize for being so stunned that somebody didn't say, hey, listen, we just didn't expect it. Hey, we didn't mean it to come off that way, because the host looked like an idiot. She really did, because we have all the receipts. Jake Tapper has been saying it for years now. I'm just, maybe it's just me commenting, but I'm surprised by that. But I do want to say this: I'm extremely proud of you that you didn't back down and say, okay, we'll talk about that next time. No, you were like, listen, Jake Tapper has said this stuff. So do you expect to be invited back to the network ever? And would you go back if they do?
Absolutely. I'd love to go back. I love a good debate. And President Trump goes on hostile interviews. He's my boss. It's my job to follow his lead. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of voters that watch CNN, and it's our goal to get our message to every voter in this country. So absolutely, I'll go back on if they let me. If they have me, we'll see. Is yet to
Well,
be seen.
they should be afraid to have you because you're going to tell the truth, and nobody wants that on CNN. It's Karoline Leavitt, National Press Secretary for President Trump. The big night is on Thursday. Good luck to you. Good luck to the president. And let's talk again very soon, Caroline. Thanks for making time today.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. We're back after this. Stay right here.